see here stands for an acronym that we use for one of the most wonderful or most famous frameworks, which is test, teach, test. So you test the students first, then you teach them, then you test them again. And this method involves finding out exactly what your students know before starting the lesson. So it activates the students' schemata and to know their prior knowledge. Then you teach them, then you test their understanding, of course, using the activities. We have others TTT, which is teacher talking time. And the teacher talking time is the time that you talk inside the classroom. And try to reduce teacher talking time whenever you have a presentation. The next one, we have here some language terms. Let's go through every one of them. So now we'll be going through some new terms. The first one is accuracy. Accuracy, we need accuracy when we need students to do productive skills or to use productive skills in an accurate way. So what productive skills we need in English language? Of course, we know that we have receptive skills and productive skills. The receptive skills are reading and listening, and the productive skills are speaking and writing. So we need accuracy in both productive skills. The second thing is assimilation, and assimilation is mainly for, or let's say it's a feature for connected speech that we know we use whenever we have a phoneme. So when a phoneme changes so that we have similar nearby sounds. So we call it assimilation. Assimilation. The second or the third thing is connected speech. And of course, connected speech is one of the most important things whenever we want our students to speak naturally, like native speakers. So native speakers, when they speak, they connect the words together. They link the sounds of the words together without separating them or talking like a robot. So whenever we teach connected speech, we do not isolate each word. We give it like the target in the connected speech to give the natural sound to the sentence exactly like or to sound like a native speaker. Let's go to number 4 and 5. I will start with number 5, then I will go to number 4 because I want to explain it in a good way. So let's say here diphthong. Diphthong also, it's a compound, it's always known as a compound vowel. So compound vowel, it means two vowels together or a combination between two sounds. This is what we call diphthongs, okay? So when we use diphthongs, it's, I will give you some examples. Like, for example, when we have O and I together, the sound of O and I, oi, or O and W, O, or ow, when we have A and W, or whenever you have O and U. So whenever you have two vowels and they have normal sound together, so we call them diphthong. The fourth one that we left, it is Cuisenaire rods. Cuisenaire rods, they are mainly or originally used in teaching math, but they became a valuable tool in teaching grammar. I want to show you now a picture for Cuisenaire rods. As you see here, they are in different length and in different colors. So in different colors and length, as you see here, and we give each one of them, we can give them a name. For example, we can use the white for the article, the red for verbs, and the green for the noun, and so on. Now we'll be watching a video together about a teacher who's using Cuisenaire rods in her classroom to make it easier for you to understand it. Let's see it.
Look, I write. Repeat. I write. Very good. I sleep. Repeat. I sleep. Very good. I eat. Repeat.
So as you see here, the teacher is using questionnaire rods to divide the part of the sentence or the parts of the speech. So she gives, for example, I, a color, don't, a color, and the verb, another color.
I don't read. Leah, look. I read. Which one? I read. Very good.
I don't
Right.
write.
Can you show me?
I don't write.
Very good. Dominic.
I
Sleep.
sleep.
Repeat it.
I sleep.
Good.
Are you enjoying?
So as you see here, this teacher is teaching using questionnaire rods in a grammar lesson in a wonderful way. So let's move to the next step, some teaching techniques that we use while having any one of the frameworks or some frameworks. So we have drilling, elicit, and elision. So the first one is drilling. Drilling. Whenever we talk about drilling, we're talking about repetition or repeating. It's a practice, a fantastic practice for learners to repeat the same sentence after the teacher or to repeat after each other. And we will go through the types of drilling in one of our episodes. The next one is elicit. So when we elicit, it means we ask students questions to know the information by themselves. So they practice they practice before you have or before you present or you start your presentation, you know what they can elicit. So you ask them some questions to elicit the information. Also, there are many types of elicitation that we will go through in our episodes. So let's move to the next one, which is a legend. A legend here, it's one of the linguistics features. And we use it when we omit sound of one letters. So let me give you example. Let me just try to write it here. So when we read this one, we say, I am. But when we write this, I'm sorry. When we write this, we say, I am. And the same thing, let us. So we say, let's. So this is the elision. Feedback and fluency. Feedback, of course, everybody of us, when we do something, we need to have feedback or to get feedback. You as a teacher, you get feedback from your head, and students need to get feedback from many sources in the same classroom. So when they self-check or they have self-check, like following a rubric, they have self-check, so they get self-feedback. When they work in pairs, they get peer check or they have peer feedback. And when they get feedback from the teacher, this is another source of feedback in the class. So also we'll be talking about how to give feedback in the classroom and what are the types of feedback, why it is important through our course, inshallah. Fluency. Fluency, of course, we need it, and it is too much, depends on the accuracy. When you're accurate using the lesson, you will get the fluency. So the fluency comes with all the skills, the language skills. Teaching functions like gist, intensive reading, interaction patterns, and modeling. We'll be going through all these ones. Functions What do you think the word function referred to? When you learn about, when you teach them, you have something that we call language functions. And language functions focuses on grammar or vocabulary or useful phrases or useful sentences. And just reading or listening, it means that students are skimming the audio or the text quickly to know the main idea. Reading for just, it means to listen or to read to find the main idea. The interaction patterns, and it is also one of the topics that we will go through in details. The interaction patterns, it means that who is doing the job or the task in the classroom, who is doing this part or this stage of in the lesson plan. So if you have the presentation, of course, you're going to have teacher to students or students to students or students to teacher. So all these are interaction patterns. And of course, the most wonderful lesson plan, when I have lots of student to student in the lesson plan or student to teacher. Modeling. What do you think the word modeling is, and why do we use it in the classroom? Of course, we use modeling whenever we give our students, for example, a grammar lesson or a new structure, and we need to give them examples to follow. So for example, let's say that I'm teaching them present progressive. So I am doing my homework. So can you say using do you are doing your homework, she is doing her homework, and so on. So here we model, we give them examples using the target language. The last part in our lesson today, we have here some very important terms for you whenever you study TESOL, CELTA, or TEFL. Let's go through all of them, but we will start with some of them. We will start with number 2, pair checking. Pair checking, when you have pair work in the classroom, so you give the task first independently, everybody is doing the task independently, then you ask them to have pair check. Pair check or peer check, we use it whenever we want students to give feedback to each other. And this is one of the most important things to have an active learning classroom. Let's get back to number 1. Number 1, monophthongs. Monophthongs is the opposite of the diphthongs. We said that the diphthongs are 2 vowels sound together, but here we have single sound, only a single sound that has the sound. The next one is phonology. And what does the word phonology stand for, or what is the meaning of the word phonology? Sorry. So it means that the sound of English language letters and how to use and how to they relate to each other in the sentence. So let's say again, the phonology is like a science for understanding how to pronounce the letters and how are the letters relate to each other in one word or in one sentence. The next one is pre-teach. And pre-teach, we sometimes use pre-teaching vocabulary when we teach English as a second language for students. So pre-teach, it means you teach vocabulary before starting the comprehension, or you teach some language functions before you start the listening part or before you start speaking. So sometimes we need to pre-teach things whenever we teach English as a second language. The next one is realia. And realia, it means using real life objects in the classroom. Using real life objects in the classroom. So like real food or real piece of clothes, or let's say real tools, classroom tools, or anything which is real that we can use in the class, we call it realia. Receptive and productive skills, I discussed this with you at the beginning of this lesson. Receptive skills, it means students receive the language, so it is reading and listening. And productive skills, it means students are producing the language, so this is the speaking and writing. The last thing, scan for reading or listening. When we scan, do you think that we read every single detail or we find the specific information? Of course, when we scan, we read quickly to find specific information. So when we look or when we involve students to pick out only specific piece of information from the text or from the listening audio or whatever, so we call this scan. So scan could be with reading and listening. I hope you enjoyed our first episode, and inshallah I will upload the quiz in 2 days. You'll be able to answer the quiz, but first I will send you the link for the video, also the link for the material if you want to study. Thanks for listening. Wishing you all the best.